Good morning to one and all. Today topic is safety control system in our automotive vehicles. So up to right now, we have been discussed a number of mm, supporting systems in our automotive vehicles. But today we have to discuss in brief the total safety control systems in our automotive vehicles. So coming to the point, is there anybody in the waiting room? Okay, right. So let us start our topic. Coming to this is the first one. This is the cruise control, so which is also called as this is a speed control. We have been already discussed all these points. Anyways, one more time I will repeat it. So this is the cruise control. We called it as a technical word, cruise. So it's a combination of electrical and mechanical components designed to maintain a constant and set vehicle speed without driver pressure on the accelerator pedal. So major components of this cruise control, that means speed control, is having one is the servo unit, and the second one is a computer or cruise control module. So the servo unit, which what is meant by servo unit and how it will control the total engine body here, we have to know this one. So the servo unit controls the movement of the throttle by receiving a controlled amount of vacuum from a control module. So you can observe the total control system in our earlier topic. So some use a step motor and not engine vacuum, right? Next, this one is a computer control system, the module. It receives the inputs from the brake switch and the throttle position sensor and vehicle speed sensor. It operates solenoids or stepper motor to maintain speed. So the third one is step set control. So this is located on the steering column. This is the speed set control. So it is located at the steering column. So the steering wheel, dashboard or console, whatever else we are thinking. So it will accelerate and resume functions. So the safety release switches. Whenever the brake pedal is depressed, the cruise control, that means the computer control system, is disengaged through use of an electrical and vacuum switch, usually located on the brake pedal bracket. Both electrical and vacuum releases are used to be certain that the cruise control system is released, even in the event of failure of one of the release switches. So here you can observe a and set course. So it may be observed in our screen. Cruise control servo unit. It has an electric connection with wires that go the cruise control module or the vehicle computer, depending on the vehicle. So the vacuum hoses supply engine manifold vacuum to the rubber diaphragm that moves the throttle linkage to maintain the preset speed. So this is the advanced technology, automotive advanced technology. So you can observe here. So coming to this, a typical computer control system can be set only if the vehicle speed is 30 meter per hour or more. So in a non-computer operated system, that means the old vehicles, the transducer contains a low speed electrical switch that closes whenever the speed sensing section of the transducer senses a speed exceeding the minimum engagement speed. So here you can observe a keynote here. The Toyota vehicles do not retain set speed in memory if vehicle speed drops below 25 meters per hour. So the driver is required to set desired speed again. So this is normal and not a fault with the cruise control system. So when the setup button is depressed on the computer control, cruise control, the solenoid valves on the servo unit allow engine vacuum to be applied to one side of the diaphragm, which is attached to the throttle plate of the engine through a cable or linkage. So the servo unit usually contains two valves. One is one solenoid opens and closes to control the passage, where the other one is used to bleed the air back into the sensor chamber to reduce the throttle opening. So throttle opening is also one of the sensor or a position sensor inside the servo unit, which sends the throttle position information to the cruise control module. So this is happening in the cruise control module. So coming to the bump problem. So here, this cruise control problem diagnosis involves a complex checks and tests. So the troubleshooting procedures vary by manufacturer and year to year. So a technology should consult a service manual of the vehicle being serviced. So the system uses a brake safety switch, and if the vehicle has manual transmission, a clutch safety switch. So the purpose of these switches is to control the cruise is to ensure that the cruise control system is disabled if the brakes or clutches is applied. Some systems use redundant brake pedal safety switches, one electrical to cut off power to the system and the other vacuum to bleed vacuum away from the activating unit. So if cruise control cuts out or disengages itself while traveling over bumpy roads, the most common cause is a misadjusted brake or safety switches. A simple readjustment may be required for this one. So non-computer, coming to the non-computer controlled resume type cruise control system. So here a non-computer controlled cruise system use a two-piece rubber clutch to retain a mechanical memory of the vehicle road speed. So just wait a minute. So this is the non-computer controlled resume type cruise control. So here it uses a two-piece rubber clutch to retain a mechanical memory of the vehicle speed, vehicle road speed. So depressing the brake pedal causes a vacuum release solenoid to release vacuum from the servo unit, and the cruise control stops, maintaining vehicle speed. So when resume is pushed, the vacuum solenoid closes and vacuum is again applied to the servo unit. The speed is remembered by the position of the split rubber clutch. This is the thing. And just see the diagram here. This is the cruise diagram of a typical electronic cruise control system. So here you can observe the total diagram of the cruise control system, right? Next thing, one more safety operative control systems is electronic throttle cruise control. So many vehicles are equipped with an ETC, that means electronic throttle control system. So it uses a DC electric motor to move the throttle plate that is spring loaded partially open. The motor actually closes the throttle at idle against spring pressure. The spring-loaded position is the default position and results in a high idle speed. The powertrain control module, that means PCM, uses the input signals from the accelerator pedal position, that is sensor. It is one of the sensor. It is used to determine the desired throttle position. So the PCM then commands the throttle to the necessary position of the throttle plate. So you can observe the diagram here also. Electronic throttle with the protective covers removed. So here you can observe the diagram. So the cruise control on a vehicle equipped with an electronic throttle control system consists of a switch to set the desired speed. The PCM, so that receives the vehicle speed information from the vehicle speed. So that means VS, we are calling it as it is also presently we are following in the latest trend, that is also sensors, and uses the ETC system to maintain the set speed. So coming to the diagnosis and the servicing of this one, so any fault in the APP sensor, right, and ETC or ETC system will disable the cruise control function. So always follow the specified troubleshooting procedure, which will usually include the use of a scan tool. Scan tool to properly diagnose the ETC system. So this is the use trailer tow mode. You can observe here the blinking. So here it will result in smoother operation and is less noticeable to the both the driver and the passenger. Right. So this one, how to troubleshoot this cruise control system. We are having so many steps. So first step is control fuse is not blown and that the cruise control dash light is on. Here you can observe this is a dash light, right? So the dash light is on when the cruise control is turned on, right? So check proper operation of the brake and clutch switch, and inspect the throttle cable and linkage between the sensor unit and the throttle plate for proper operation without binding or sticking. And check the vacuum hoses for cracks or any other defaults. Use a hand operated vacuum pump and check that the vacuum servo unit can hold a vacuum without leaking. And check the servo solenoids for proper operation, including a resistance measurement check. So electronic speed control troubling. So this is the problem and this is the checking. So speed control operates but does not accelerate or coast down properly. So then we have to check control switch circuit and servo assembly. And the second problem is the speed changes up or down constantly. Then we have to check for throttle linkage adjustment, servo assembly, and speedometer cable and sensor, amplifier or reserve. So these are all the requirements of checking whenever the speed changes up and down constantly. Coming to the third problem, it does not disengage when brakes are applied. So that means brake failure maybe. So you have to check for brake switch and circuit or vacuum dump valve, servo assembly, amplifier or reserve. So these are all the safety. We are taking the safety measures, right? So whenever disengage when clutch pedal is depressed, when you are depressing the clutch pedal, it is not engaging. Therefore, we have to observe, we have to check clutch switch and clutch switch circuit, right? And speed does not set in system. That means up and downs. So that means throttle linkage adjustment. We have to check for throttle linkage, control switch and circuit, and vacuum dump valve, clutch or brake switch, and servo assembly or speed sensor. So these are all the things we have to check. Next thing is speed wanders up or down after it is set. Then we have to check for actuator cable adjustment, vacuum dump valve, servo assembly. And the next problem is system operates but does not resume properly. Then we have to check for control switch and circuit, servo assembly, and amplifier or reserve. And coming to the next problem, speed will resume below 20 meters per hour. Then we can check for control module. The last problem is speed engages without operating set button. Then we will check for control switch and circuit, right? So in this way we are having the problems, and at the same time using these knowing these problems, we have to check for all these things, right? Coming to the next point, so this is the caution and technical tip. So most vehicle manufacturers, so manufacturers is must be having certain cautions, but when the engine is having certain problems, we have to follow some technical tips. So that means the cruise control will not work if the third brake light is out. That is the one of the technical tips. The third brake light is called the centrally high mounted stop light, that is CHMSL. Always check the brake lights first if the cruise control does not work on a GM vehicle. So this is the thing you have to observe it, right? Next thing, coming to this is the window defoggers, heated rear window defoggers. So this is the one of the safety thing we have to observe. So an electrically heated rear window defogger system uses an electrical grid baked on the glass that warms the glass to about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, that means 29 degrees centigrade, and clears it of fog or frost. That means whenever the heating condition is heavy, therefore a fog may be appeared, it may be removed by using this one, defoggers. So the rear window is called the backlight. The rear window defogger system is controlled by a driver operated switch and a timer relay. So the timer relay is necessary because the window grid can drop to 30 amperes and continued operation would put a strain on the battery and the charging system. So it permits the current flow through the rear window grid for only 10 minutes. Here you can observe only 10 minutes. Here you can observe battery ignition and relay indicating light on, off or normal. So these are the things you have to observe on the rear window defoggers, right? Generally the time delay permits the current flow to flow through the rear window grid for only 10 minutes. If the window is not clear of a fog after 10 minutes, the driver can turn the defogger on again. But after the first 10 minutes, additional defogger operation is limited to 5 minutes only. So this point you have to observe here. So note that some vehicles use the wire grid of the rear window defogger as a radio antenna. You can observe it in our present latest vehicles. If the grid is damaged, radio reception can be affected. So troubleshooting. In this, you can observe a test light or a voltmeter to check for voltage to the grid. If no voltage is present at the rear window, check for voltage at the switch and relay timer assembly. A poor ground connection on the opposite side of the grid from the power side can also cause the rear defogger not to operate. And because most defogger circuits use an indicator light, switch, and a relay timer, so it is possible to have the indicator light on even if the wires are disconnected at the rear window grid. So here you can observe this one. This is a rear window defogger with a voltmeter. As the voltmeter positive lead is moved along the grid, the voltmeter reading should steadily decrease as the meter approaches the ground side of the grid. So this is the heating elements and power feed inside and ground side, from the ground side. So this is the masking tape. It will dry up to about 10 minutes and is usually in about 30 minutes. So this is the typical repairment of a silver filled polymer using this one masking tape. So we have to follow the technical tip, breathe test. So it is difficult to test for the proper operation of all grids of a rear window defogger unless the rear window happens to be covered with fog. A common trick that works is to turn on the rear defogger and exhale onto the outside of the rear window glass. So in a manner similar to that of people cleaning eyeglasses with their breath. This procedure produces a temporary fog on the glass so that all sections of the rear grids can quickly be checked for proper operation. So this is the garage door opener. So this is one of the another safety measuring equipment, safety equipment we are using in our vehicles. So equipment and we will call it as a device which is installed in many new vehicles that duplicates radio frequency code of the original garage door opener. So HomeLink operates at a megahertz of 288 to 418 range. So garage doors equipped with a radio transmitter. So it is an electric garage door opener, gates, entry door locks, lighting, or small appliances. These are all the garage door opener. So you can observe here. These are all the safety systems we are observing in our automotive vehicles. Latest technology. So here, what is the steps we are following for a garage door opener? Unplug garage door opener during programming to prevent it from being cycled on or off, which could damage the motor. And the second thing is 288 to 418 megahertz frequency has been maintained by the handheld transmitter. And installation of new batteries in the transmitter to be issued of a strong signal module in the vehicle. That means a HomeLink module in the vehicle. So last one is turn the ignition key on, therefore engine off. And next thing is holding the transmitter 4 to 6 inches away from the HomeLink button. Press the hold HomeLink while pressing and releasing the handheld transmitter every 2 seconds, for every 2 seconds. So continuous pressing and releasing the transmitter until the light near the HomeLink button changes from slow blink to rapid flash. So this is one of the things we have to observe in our vehicles. So the garage door opening controller can only be programmed by using a transmitter. So this is the point. So if the automatic garage door opener does not have a remote transmitter, HomeLink cannot be programmed, right? So diagnosis and services. So coming to the power windows. So this is the one of the safety equipment. These are all the presently up to right now we have been discussed all the topics in our syllabus. So even vehicle garage door opener and power windows, all these things, cruise control, all these things are the safety control systems which are having in our syllabus. All of you just listen carefully. So power windows use electric motors to raise and lower door glass. They can be operated by both a master control switch located beside the driver and additional independent switches for each electric window. Some power window systems use a lock nut switch located on the driver's control to prevent operation of the power windows from the independent switches. So power windows. So power window systems use permanent magnet electric motors. Permanent magnet system is used here. So it is possible to run a permanent magnet motor in reverse by reversing polarity of the two wires going to the motor. So most power window motors does not require the motor to be grounded to the body of the vehicle. The ground for all the power windows is most often centralized near the driver's master control switch. So the up and down motion of the individual window motors is controlled by double pole, double throw, DP, DT switches. So these switches have 5 contacts and permit battery voltage to apply to the power window motor. They also reverse the polarity and direction of the motor. So here you can observe this is a schematic diagram of the power window. So the direction control of the operation is achieved by directing polarity of the current through a non-grounded motor. Ground for the entire system is located at the master control switch assembly. So this is the master control switch assembly. You can observe. So this is the circuit breaker, and this is the power source, and this is the ground for all power windows. So this is the driver's door, power window, switch plate. Looks like a normal switch until you turn it over. Notice that the power window contains a large circuit with a lot of other electronic components to operate the express and express down. Here you can observe here. So this is the power window, or the power window motor rotates a mechanism called window regulator. You can observe this one, window regulator. The mechanism we are operating it as, calling it as window regulator. The window regulator is attached to the door glass and controls the opening and closing of the glass, opening and closing of the glass. So the adjustments such as glass tilt and upper and lower top are usually the same for both power and manual windows. Here you can observe, this is the glass guide, regulator assembly, and this is another glass guide and motor. So this is the glass, right? This is an electric motor, and regulator assembly raises and lowers the glass on a power window. So here you can observe the troubleshooting. Check for proper operation of all power windows. If one of the control wires, so here this is the power window for glass up and down movements, whereas this is the method permanent magnet electric motors. So here this may be used for power window mechanism, right? So troubleshooting, check for proper operation of all the power windows. If one of the control wires that run from the independent switch to the master switch is cut open, the power window may operate in just one direction. The window may go down but not up. So this is one of the problem we may be getting using this one. If one of the directional wires that run from the independent switch to the motor is cut, so the window will not operate in the direction. So the direction wires and the motor must be electrically connected to the permit operation and change of direction of the electric lift motor in the door. So troubleshooting procedure. The both rear and rear door windows fail to operate from the independent switches, and check the operation of the window lockout and the master control switch. If one window can move in one direction only, check for the continuity of the control wires. If all the windows fail to work occasionally, check. Therefore, next go for checking, cleaning, and tightening the ground wires located either behind the driver's interior door panel or under the dashboard of the driver's side. So a defective fuse or circuit breaker could also cause all the windows to fail to operate. So this is one of the problem we are all facing in our vehicles. So if one window fails to operate in both directions, the problem could be a defective window lift motor. The window could be stuck in the track of the door, which could cause the circuit breaker built into the motor to open the circuit to protect the wiring, switches, and motor from damage. To check for a stuck door glass, attempt to move the door glass up and down, forward and back, side to side. So if the glass door can move slightly in all directions, the power window motor should be able to at least move the glass. So this is the technical tip we are following. So if the vehicle is equipped with an auto up feature, repeat the procedure. That means automatic operation. While the programming procedure can vary depending on the make and the model. So many times the windows can be programmed without using a scan tool by depressing and holding the down button for 5 to 10 seconds. Coming to the power seats, power window, and coming to the next safety builder is power seats. So a typical power operated seat includes a reversible electric motor and a transmission assembly that has 3 solenoids and 6 drive cables that turn the 6 seat adjusters. A 6-way power seat offers seat movement front and backward. So power seating means we can move our seat front and backward, and seat cushion movement up and down at the front and the rear. So the driver cables are very similar to the speedometer cables because they rotate inside a cable housing and connect the power output of the seat transmission to a gear or screw jack assembly that moves the seat. So here you can observe this one. So this is the power seat assembly, power seat transmission assembly. So this is a screw jack assembly, is often called a gear nut and is used to move the front or back of the seat cushion up and down. So here you can observe rear transmission, horizontal transmission, track assembly, tri-motor, front transmission, and shield. So the power seat motor assembly houses 3 armatures to provide 6-way adjustment. Many power seats use one motor and a transmission assembly to operate the various gear nuts needed to move the seat. So this is the permanent magnet motor power seats can be reversed by reversing the polarity of the current sent to the motor by seat switch. This is the power seat circuit diagram. You can observe diagram. You can observe the total circuit diagram. Power seat circuit diagram. Each motor has a built-in itself. It is built-in electronic. That means PTC circuit protector. Those are seat control switch can change the direction in which the motor runs by reversing the direction in which the current flows through the motor. So most of the power seat motor, most of the PM motors have built-in circuit program. So you can observe in our diagram. So in the Ford power seat motors, 3 separate armatures inside one large permanent magnetic field housing. Some uses a series wound electric motor with 2 separate field coils, one for each direction of rotation. This motor uses a relay to control direction of current from switch to corresponding field coil of the seat motor. This type can be identified by the click heard whenever the seat switch is changed from up and down or front to back or vice versa. So the power seats use a small air pump to inflate a bag or bags in the lower part of the back of the seat called lumbar because it supports the lumbar section of the spine. So coming to the power seats troubleshooting, it is usually wired from fuse panel so that they can operate it without having to turn the ignition switch to on. On means it's a running position. If a power seat does not operate or make any noise, the circuit breaker, if the vehicle is so equipped, so it should be checked first. So checking points first, check the circuit breaker, usually located on the fuse panel using a test light. So the test light should light on both sides of the circuit breaker, even if the ignition off. If the seat relay clicks, the breaker is functioning, but the relay or motor may be defective. Coming to the second step, remove the screws or clips that retain the controls to the inner door panel or seat and check for voltage to the seat control. And the third one is check the ground connections and transmission and clutch control solenoids. So the solenoids must be properly grounded to the body for the power seat circuit to operate. So these are all the things. So coming to the hint point, the power seats are often difficult to service because of restricted workroom. The entire seat cannot be removed from the vehicle because the track boards are covered. Attempt to remove the seat from the top of the power seat assembly. These bolts are almost always accessible regardless of seat position. So every driver must know this technical tip for the power seat. That is, power seat uses an electric motor to move the position of the seat. So the electric motors turn small cables that operate mechanisms that moves the seat. So never place rags, newspapers, or any other object under the power seat. Even ice scrapers can get caught between moving parts of the seat and can often cause serious damage or jamming of the power seat. So these are all the tips we have to follow using these power seats and power windows. So these are all the things. So in our next class, we will move for memory seats, right? So today up to right now, we will conclude our topic. So everybody, anyways, thank you.